Hello, and welcome to the Model Railroads and Structures Show live raw Sunday show. If you're here looking for a fully produced broadcast, that's not this show. It comes out on Wednesdays. It's called the Model MR&S Show or Model Railroads and Structures Show, and it'll have an episode number, and it won't have raw in brackets. We are a model railroads and structures based show. That kind of means that we're modelers. We build model railroads, and we're really not the model trains and operators show. But maybe in the future we'll do that if we can get it hacked out on Hangouts here. You never know. Maybe with Ed's new camera, he'll be able to do an operating session for us. I don't know. So, in today's show, we're going to talk about a little bit more about 3D printing. I have a new special guest coming on who's a diorama builder. I don't think he has anything to do with trains. His models are really cool. They're built around movie sets, things that he sees in pop culture, and I think it's really great stuff. Let me try to clean this camera, make sure it's clean. You clean? Yeah. Get in here, clean this off. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, this is a little bit of a raw show. I kind of get my finger up there and clean it all off kind of thing. The show today is going to be on the fly because basically I've got so much canned content for the show itself, the produced show, that I'm kind of getting ahead of myself with content. So this show is kind of not going to bring any new content into the new subject matter into the show. We're just going to talk about
You always get the last piece of bacon.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was about to mute this out. The last piece of bacon. Eating this on camera wouldn't. I know it's a raw show, but we're going to put this down for a second. The last piece. That's my boy. I was almost worried that was going to have to be cut out of the show. Anyways, so I'm going to get over here and get some people onto the show because everything that's going to be onto the produced show is basically put together, and this little round table here is probably going to be pretty short today. So let's get back here. I'll send a link to all the boys and see if they join. Yeah. So what has happened to me in the last week? Nothing negative, really. A lot of people went quiet after I got pretty close to naming names and kicking ass and naming names. So we're not going to talk about that today. This is not necessary. However, early last week, or maybe Friday last week, I was visited by my friends at Imagine That Laser Art. Imagine That Laser Art was purchased by. Hello, Ed. You gotta mute that video. I was almost worried that was gonna have to be cut out of the show. Anyways, so I'm gonna get over here and get some people onto the show because everything that's gonna be on the preview video and mute that. There you go. It's all good. Everybody's gonna do it. Maybe the other boys, if they're watching this, they can mute their YouTube channel before they jump on. But that's all good. So my buddies at Imagine That Laser Art, this is the second owners of this company. I started working with the founding the founder of Imagine That Laser Art, Mark Williams, 6 or 7 years ago, a long time ago. I started working with him before he actually started selling his products. So I'm basically been with these guys since the beginning. And now the company's owned by Nick and Renee Masney, people who live even closer to me. And they dropped off this kit this week for me to build and review or whatever it is I do. See, I don't even know what I do. But this is a nice background flat kit that comes with the options for 3 different layouts. So I think that's pretty cool because the kit has basically come with the blessing to kit bash it and the instructions of how to kit bash it, which is, you know, something rare for modelers to really be able to envision, is to take a perfectly nice model and change it to fit your wants or desires instead of building it verbatim to what the instructions say. So yeah. Hello Ed and hello Peter. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
How's my picture and sound on your end?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. If it starts cutting out, give me the and I'll chop her down a bit.
Will do. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a troll-free week for the most part.
Oh, that's great.
Yee!
Got all the haters weeded out, huh?
They just know to keep into the bush.
That's what trolls do.
Yeah, heads down in the grass, boys. Keep the heads down. So yeah, any modeling done this week, Peter?
No. Well, I'm working on a diorama for that hardware store I got from Jimmy Simmons.
Oh wow.
And taking a break from the Fremo bakery complex to do this, so that's kind of been occupying my time. But beyond that, nothing too exciting.
Yeah, this Jimmy Simmons fellow. I saw what's his name? Sam Sizdek, I think his name is. He built one of Jimmy's kits and used the chalk mortar technique that he has written on his website, on Jimmy's website, and
How did it turn out?
I haven't tried it, but Sam's try of it worked great. So I'm totally gonna be trying it on these Imagine That kits. They don't have.
He seems to really like those Bragdon's powders. I tried one of his techniques, blending it with alcohol, the powder with alcohol, and using that to paint the brick, and it turned out really good. I was impressed.
When you paint the brick with, it's basically a paste, I guess, like or a loose paste.
Basically.
Right? How do you get it off the brick faces? Is it a big issue of getting it off the brick faces?
What I did is I let it dry, and then I used a very fine sanding board, like something like this, but very fine, almost feels like paper. And I lightly went over the top to reveal the facings, and I got a pretty good effect, and it gave it some texture. So it was new ground for me, and I liked what I saw.
So when you put the emery paper, I guess it would be, over the brick, you really didn't hit it hard or long enough to take off the paint you put on the brick, just to get off the mortar.
Right. Yeah. When you're doing, you mix up a separate paste, almost like I think I use an actual Bragdon's mortar color. Just kind of a white paste, and when I sort of spatulaed that over the mortar lines, and then I used that technique to remove it from the brick facings, and it turned out really good. When you do the actual brick, you want the mortar more pasty. when you actually do the brick color first, you want that more fluid, so you add more alcohol.
Oh, I see. I see. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of different techniques, you know, and it goes, you know, right across the board. And you know, sometimes I don't like you pull out, to give an example. I paint, you know, rust oxide for my bricks, and then once you try to add mortar to it, it tones down the red in the bricks, but sometimes it tones it down a little bit too much. So I started going real light with the mortar, not to really get mortar lines, but to tone it down a bit. Like the one thing I really worry about is toning it down too much, you know. So yeah, that'll be a technique I try for sure on this building, for sure.
I get nervous with new techniques too when you go outside of what's worked for you for so long. I mean, it makes my palms sweat to just think about it. I've had some disasters.
Test first, test first.
Absolutely.
This building's nice because it's got two, like it's a background flat, so there's two wall sections that are about 1.5 inches where I'll test the mortar line. And I'll test it on the side of the model so that if I totally screw it up, I'll be able to hide that in the alley.
Yeah, you have much more wisdom than I do. I went into it thinking, oh, this is going to work great, and disaster.
Hey, every mistake I've ever done had components of Murphy's Law involved, and modeling is not perfecting your techniques, it's perfecting the way to get out of trouble.
It's a great point.
Modeling is definitely a series of disasters in how you fix them. For everybody, even the best of modelers. I'm not the best. I'm not even close to the best. But even the self-proclaimed experts and celebrities and all those people have a ton of mistakes that they just know how to get themselves out of trouble.
Absolutely. I'll tell you something else that both you and Ed have inspired me to do is to really drill down. I always thought I was a pretty detailed modeler until I saw some of your work and Ed's work, especially that picture of the diorama with the truck, which you would swear that's an actual truck parked in front of a building with the detailed hosing and so on behind the truck. I'm going in deeper, and I ordered some detail parts from Vector Cut, and I've kind of gone into my toolbox because it's amazing. You guys have really gone into a deeper level that I completely took for granted, and it adds so much to structures.
Well, I'd like to add something to that. Here's the model right here, because I might be committing a cardinal sin today. But I'd like you to realize something, though. That's something that Ed has said multiple times, and I like to say too, is that this kit took about 4 or 5 years to build. And I put it up on a shelf, and it sits and collects dust for about 6 months at a time while, you know, maybe I come up with a new idea, or maybe I just get inspired to do a small part of it, you know. There's things that I want to do to this model after the show today. I want to put in a hydro pole here and a hydro pole here, and I want to put power to this building and power to this building, you know. And I knew I had to do that, but it was always something that I had to wait till, you know, because, you know, putting your hands over this stuff, wrecking that stuff isn't weathering it.
Absolutely.
So, you know, take your time with detailing models, and that's the trick, is, you know, put the model away for a while and, you know, come back to it.
It's great advice, because you see it with a fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like I know when I did this model, it took about a week to get it to a stage where it looks like it's at. However, there's little sections of this model where I've spent a few hours just staring at it and coming up with little detail parts and painting them up, and and then all it takes is putting it down. Like it's all in the planning and the putting together stuff. So yeah, I might sell this kit, this diorama to. There's a couple of things I want to buy to improve the quality of the show. I want to get an external mixer because I run the show off of my laptop. So if I had an external mixer, I could mix audio and stuff, and possibly even video with a few external parts. So I might, if I could get close to, I don't know, I'd even take half of what it's worth, to buy stuff for the show. I don't know.
It's tough to, I mean, that figuring out what the actual value is, it's, because to you, you've got a little piece of your soul into that piece.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you come up with a figure? It's tough, and to your point, you end up letting it go for far less than in your heart what it's truly worth.
Yeah. Like the kit in the box, which to a large portion of the armchair modeler world is worth more in the box than it is built. That's the unfortunate truth. But in the box, this kit, I think I paid $450. I think the kit, when it was released, was probably $395. But it's a highly sought after kit, so and it's only built in a limited quantity, so the price goes up in the box. So I'd be hard pressed to get $500 off this thing on eBay. Get $50 to build it.
What I found, because I probably, this is going back a few years, but I was selling structure kits that I would build on eBay, and it was, I would keep reposting because I wouldn't come down on my price, and then after a while what you're going to find is you're going to get that collector out there that's going to stumble upon your work, and he or she will keep coming back for more. So when you originally posted, my 2 cents is, don't get disappointed if you don't get a lot of bites. Keep reposting, because you will find that person that has that eye that will connect with your work, and you'll have a great relationship. That's what I found.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. There's a couple of kits around that I've put up a few times, and I have no interest in selling it for less than this kit right here. I have I don't care to say that I have no interest in selling it for anything less than $1,000. It's worth it's worth a little bit more than that, maybe even a bit more than a little, but it's got to be at least twice as much as what the box was worth.
Absolutely. Because above and beyond all the hours and everything else, the consumer, the true collector that appreciates the work, he's essentially buying your intellect. It's your intellectual property sprinkled in there on top of the hours and the actual cost of the original kit and so on. So, yeah, I hear you. I don't blame it.
But if I sold it, it would be for the benefit of the show, though. Like, otherwise, I wouldn't sell it at all. I'd just keep it up on a shelf and let it collect this much dust on it. Yeah. So, Ed, I heard that you got your camera all fixed up.
Yeah. Got it working.
No, yeah, I can hear you.
I took it off the microphone. I got it talking over my webcam camera because I got tired of the stupid earphones.
Right on. Are you using that live viewer thing?
Not at the moment. You guys were talking about mortar.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
And I was just going to share the picture that's on the screen, that's an old picture from a year or two ago. More than that. 4 years ago, whatever. This was my coke oven I scratch built, and this is before any mortar. That's by the way, that's the stone there is a Sculpey clay, the oven baked clay.
Okay.
That basically I rolled out into a sheet. I took a piece of what is it, pumice, and and beat on it to make the texture, and that's just acrylics in various colors, and then I just cut it up like you're cutting, and made my own stone. Being the cheap guy I am.
Frugal.
So there's with all the little stone pieces in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's my mortar, which is a spackling.
It's already mixed.
Yeah, and this is the lightweight stuff. It's more like Cheese Whiz or something. I mean, I don't know. It's like it's almost like somebody made spackling from styrofoam or something. It's really, light and fluffy.
Oh, okay.
You can kind of see a little bit right there.
Yep.
And so that's just me mortaring the surface.
Okay.
And there me continue on. I just slop it on.
Oh, this is the stressful part.
And then I just take a wet brush and wash the face, and then wipe it off with a piece of cloth, which wipes off the face, leaves it in the grooves, and just a wet brush and the cloth, and you can see it washes completely off the faces. That's how I did it.
So did you seal your acrylic, the stonework? Did you seal it with a clear coat of some kind?
No.
You're too much.
Once acrylic dries, it's dried. It's not going to dissolve.
Yeah.
It's acrylic paint. And that's after, and I could have, if I wanted, I could come across some kind of a stain, darken up the mortar. But the point was that when it's wet with a cloth and just a brush with some water, it washes right off.
Wow.
So.
Ed, have you ever pre-colored it? What if you wanted a different color on the mortar, but you didn't want to color it after it's been installed?
You could do that. I mean, you could mix if you use acrylic, remember acrylic is a plastic, right? So it's kind of it's like if you use acrylic paints when you're using a plaster, it leaves a film. You know what I'm saying? It's a shell. And depending on how much you thin it, it's not. If I were going to tin it, I would probably use something like a powdered temper paint or something. Something that would actually allow you to come back and allow other stains to soak in. But so you were asking about my camera, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Just to show, I've got that stuff.
I use
temper paint.
I use a powdered brown mostly for all my scenic works, because what I do is I put like a beige. In fact, I can share something here.
This is yellow, and what I got this was from following Joe Fugate's zip texturing. He says to use this stuff for texturing the concrete. I think that's coming through my mic. No, that's Hoffy.
Um, yeah, but
Or is it me? Okay, we're good.
there's I've got an example showing using this. I love his temper paint for the layout.
Yeah.
Um, I've got an example here in my Styrofoam Rocks tutorial on my website. Anyway, I go through how to make rock. You know, people get all bent out of shape about, oh, how do I make rocks and how much does it cost and all this. And it's like, dude, chill out. You know, it's like this is just some blue styrofoam. This is a styrofoam like you buy at Lowe's.
Yeah.
Or, and I'm like, you can see the real fancy tools I'm using, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really complicated. I'm making the point about this. I was trying to joking around was, you know, it don't have to be that complicated when you're doing it. I mean, here I'm using a pocket knife, right? And so I end up with that, and that's my stone. And I use some spackle to hide the crevices, and I'll get to the point I was trying to make here in a second. Here I just use some beige latex paint. And there's a tempera. It's just you sprinkle it on with like a little sifter, right? Spray some water, and it washes it down into the grooves and all the cracks. And then some AI wash, and what you end up with that quickly is and you were talking about your zip texture. That's what that is. And for those that don't know it, actually I got a link right here to it was the September-October issue of Model Railroad Hobbyist.
That was actually Lynn Westcott that came up with that technique in an old Model Railroader magazine.
Yeah,
But I think that Joe Fugate perfected it in the way that he gives measurements on what different colors to use for different situations. Like I got yellow, brown, and black. I might have another color, but I got those three colors, and through mixing them in different variations, you know, one part this, two parts that, you can come up with different colors for different situations.
Well, yeah. And that link to this right here, they go through that. They got a chart of all colors in that issue of Model Railroad Hobbyist.
Yeah.
There's a complete chart. I mean, it's basically all it is. You're mixing plaster with a pigment. You're wetting your surface, or you're dampening your surface, and then you're sifting a light coat, and what it does, it sticks that, and the plaster hardens. But the point was that right there is created from just what we just saw.
I would just like to say what Murphy's Law has taught me over time. I know I got some real bad stuff going on here. I need to get my headphones. Okay. It's always something. Okay, the Murphy's Law is that once you put down your plaster, it'll either separate from your foam, or it'll crack and then chip off. But if you add a little bit of white glue, I use Weld Bond on everything, but if you add a little bit of white glue, it'll super harden that plaster, and it'll also glue to the foam, which is important. I'll be right back. I'm going to get headphones.
Have
Okay.
any of you guys used that Weld Bond? Ron has sworn by that for a while. I use canopy glue. Is there any difference between the two?
I have no idea. I never used Weld Bond. That's like a Canadian thing or something.
Is it? I want to give it a try.
The cost. The canopy glue comes in this little thing about this big, which is typical of model railroad sizes, and it's probably about $6 for, I don't know, 1 ounce jug.
Right.
And then you get a weld bond. It's about like from this the pacer's this big. Weld bond glue's about this big. It's $9. And
Are you wearing pajamas?
no.
A kilt? No.
Hey Ron, does it dry clear like Canopy does?
Absolutely clear, but the one thing that it does that has the same same as the pacer glue is that it's not waterproof but water resistant in a major way, and that's a big problem for glues. Is that many of them, if you put a warm hot rag, they'll release, and this is something that I learned from building my large-scale WX tower up here in the corner. I put that outside for a while, and the glue all fell off of it.
Oh, man.
You only learn tricks by doing it wrong the first way. So that's what Weld Bond does for me. And I'd like to find an alternative in the States that's the same type of glue that is cost effective, because pacer glue, like, I'd have to buy it a case at a time at 1 ounce bottles. It's so ridiculous to think that I would use pacer glue for anything other than window coverings.
Well, I got a suggestion that you might want to try.
Go for it.
I've been using promoting, I guess the word is, this acrylic concrete fortifier. It's an acrylic resin that's in the who makes it? Quickcrete makes it, and it's an additive for concrete. It says it increases the resist or decreases the permeability, some other stuff. All right, which is great, I guess. I'm not worried about that. I use it in preference to white glue and water. It smells very lightly smell to it, and what little smell it has smells like future floor wax. And there's people that use future floor wax to do the same thing to set windows. The military modelers have used it for years. And I'm just wondering, since it dries clear and is a stronger stuff than the future floor wax, if that might work for that purpose, for fixing windows. Because it's like looks like milk when you're using it. What's Ron doing? He's dancing or something.
He's getting his headset.
Yeah, I'm just poking at him. There he goes. So, Ron.
Yeah.
You're frozen. Oh, there you go.
All right.
All right.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Okay, I was going to show you the Sparko Cam real quick, using the digital SLR as a virtual webcam.
Okay.
This is the program. It's on the screen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is the free version. If you buy it, you get rid of the watermark. But it's the usual junk, you know.
Yeah.
So I got my camera hooked up. I turned my camera on.
Now video recording on the 5300 is restricted to 20 minutes. Is that restriction put into this, or?
No, this is just, that has to do with the size of the file. It's how much the SD card can hold and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it heats up as you're writing to the SD card, so that's probably the issue, isn't it?
Well, as far as I know, it's the size, the smaller. I haven't got into it a lot, but I found out if you like when you set up the camera on the uh, you set like normal or the quality of film. Okay, had an emergency. It's it's how much. God, he's bouncing around like a chicken on a hot tin roof or something. Or what they call it, a dancing chicken?
Are you hearing me, Ed?
I don't know. Who am I talking to?
It's Steve Harvey.
Oh, hey, Steve.
Okay, I'm back. I need an on-air light at the door, is what I need. It's a Hoffy. On-air light.
Yeah, he can build one for you. Yeah, let me get this real quick so you guys can do your thing. This
Sorry
is
about that.
the amount of time that the camera records depends on the JPEG compression ratio, the size of the size of the picture, and a whole bunch of crap, right? But I ain't messed with it. This is the Sparkle Cam. And I was just going to show you if I go to where's the anyway, so this is my camera that you're looking at that picture, right?
Yeah.
And the point being that I got my macro lens hooked up. So see what I'm saying? Depending on the thing, you can just, oh, this is what I'm doing, right?
So you're standing up and pointing this at the layout right now?
Oh, I got it hooked to a USB cable, and it's sitting on what is that? It's sitting on a Crown Royal bag stuffed with something. So off to one side. Now,
a beanbag.
Okay, right. Now on the settings of my Hangout, I set to my Logitech cam. If I click to my Sparko webcam, and then if I switch back to me, I'm gonna stop screen sharing. If I go to, well, am I back to me? No. Come on, Edward.
It should be just you shouldn't have to screen share. It should be
Wait a
just.
minute, I got no, I should be showing. 1 second. Figure out what I'm doing here.
If you turn off screen share, and then you pick it under the cog settings.
Yes.
Your camera.
That's what I'm doing.
Now, does it show up as your camera or Sparkle Cam?
Why is it showing? Why is it not working when I'm trying to show something?
Because it's on the show, Ed. This is Murphy's Law.
There's the webcam, and I switched the Nikon camera. Why is this was working, and now it's not feeding? Well, of course it doesn't frickin' work.
Maybe shut it all down. Could bring it all back up. Maybe it'll work then.
It's the thing is, when I was screen sharing, to the screen. Whoa! Come back. Stop it. I fell into the black.
Yeah, I fell in too.
And so I got two monitors. And what am I doing? My God, I'm confused. Wait a minute.
Okay, you play with that, and I'm gonna talk to Steve.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that.
I'm gonna talk to Steve for a minute. Here, he brought his mic up. He knows what's coming.
All right, you got me?
Yeah, I got you. What's this?
All right, good deal.
Is that a Raspberry Pi?
This right here?
Yeah.
That is the MSP 430s we've been talking about.
The launch pad.
The launch pad, yes.
Oh.
This is the Texas Instruments MSP 430 processor chip's actually the MSP 430G 2553 that I'm using in this one at the moment.
And what's the price of this microcontroller?
Well, to the chip itself, you can get just the chips from Texas Instruments for like $2 or $3, I believe.
Yeah.
The board, the actual board kit that you can get from them is 20, I believe. I think there's where they're sitting at right now.
Oh wow.
Now the chips originally, if I recall, were $4.30, which is where they got the 430 from. It's part of their value line that they did. This specific board, I noticed catching up on the Launchpad for Model Railroading project blog that Terry Terrence does that I was showing you. There's apparently Texas Instruments is doing a new thing where they're actually soldering chips onto the boards. So I don't know what's going to come to pass with that. He hasn't been upkeeping the blog too much here lately, so he's a busy guy, so he's probably falling behind on it. I have to touch base with him, find out what's going on, because I'd really, if that project is still going about, I'd really like to get him on this show, because he's done amazing things with this stuff. He's actually done clinics at several of the big railroad shows and whatnot about using these specifically for model railroading, and it was a big hit. Of course, that was last year or the year before. I kind of lost touch with him for a while.
So I have two questions. Okay, so I'm experienced with an Arduino board, which basically uses C language to program.
Okay.
So my first question would be, what would oh my God, what's it shining?
That's the MSP 430 is flashing that LED like a welding effect.
Oh my
now
gosh.
the webcam slows it down quite a bit. It actually is flashing a lot faster than that, but frame rate the cameras slow it down.
Yeah.
But that's what's hiding under the building. That's I'd done that, so I turned the lights out. You can actually see it flashing through the windows.
Wow.
And let's see. Whoops. If I can dim the lights down here and see how well it shows.
Oh.
I'm gonna hold it up like this.
Come on, you bugger. There you go. Whoa, that's
Yeah.
Cool. I like how you can see through the windows shadowed on the driveway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you can adjust the brightness too in the code. If it's too bright, you can actually bring the brightness level down so it doesn't overpower everything.
So does Texas Instruments have a programming software to use, or what do you use to program this? Notepad?
Well, there's currently two programs, well-known programs out there that are used for this. One is done by Texas Instruments, and that is called Code Composer Studio, which is actually the preferred platform for a Launchpad for Model Railroading project. I have a little bit of a learning curve on that one myself, because I myself, like you, are familiar with the Arduinos and the C variation that Arduino uses. Code Composer Studio has its own C. It's actually, as Terry Terrence has called it, if I recall, don't quote me, is more of a pure C language that it uses.
Mm.
Being I'm like you with the Arduinos, there's another program that was released called Energia, or Energia, or however you choose to pronounce it. I pronounce it usually Energia, but you know, I'm from Maryland and my accent is a mess. Yeah, I just realized how often I say
Oh, don't worry about it. I have to actually cut it out of videos. I know what the audio sign of looks like, and I have to cut it out.
Alright. Fair enough. There you go again. Where was I?
It
Okay, yeah,
encapsulates a
Energia.
sentence.
Yeah. Energia. You're familiar with the Arduino IDE that's used to program the Arduinos.
Yeah.
Energia is a clone, or fork, if you will, if you're familiar with those terms, of that Arduino IDE.
Okay.
It's exactly the same,
Oh.
except instead of being blue, it's red, and it's designed specifically to program these Texas Instruments microcontrollers
Okay.
using the same language structure as the Arduino. The way you assign the pins is a little bit different, but the language is the same. So essentially, you could take an Arduino program and put it over onto the MSP 430, modify it to match up with the pins and the functions of the pins on it, and use the same program.
So you'd basically be changing the I/O addressing.
Basically, yeah. It's like this. Yeah, because you see, the Arduino does its pin numbers a little bit different. When you look on the board, it has P1.0, P1.1. It's done a little bit differently, but when you program it, you're actually programming it like an Arduino, where you have pin 1, pin 2, pin 3, pin 4.
I guess I should explain, an I/O is I/O, and that stands for an input and an output, meaning that a sensor would provide an input and a servo would be an output.
There you
Correct?
go. That's about as simple as you can put it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get this up a little closer so it can be seen.
So the price, $20. I think an Arduino board would be around the $35 range.
Yeah. Last time I had purchased one, which I have one here for comparison, in case someone's interested in size comparison. There's an Arduino Uno.
Yeah, that's the. There's one after. There's a newer one than that, isn't there?
Yeah, there's several newer ones.
Yeah.
I've got a Mega around here somewhere, but yeah, they come out with a couple different ones.
That's what I have is Uno with the extra shield for the extra I/Os.
All right, I got a whole box of them somewhere. We won't even get into the shields. Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, and I have another doohickey here just to show it can do other. This is just a red blinker for like a radio tower or whatnot. You see that fading up and down. Now this is not the limitation to what these boards can do. I mean, they're not just good for flashing LEDs. They can do all sorts of neat stuff.
Yeah, an LED
as a matter
is.
Of fact,
go for it.
Right. As a matter of fact, if you go to my YouTube,
Hoffy's
page.
World?
Yeah, through Hoffy. You can go to hoffysworld.com to get to my YouTube page. That's the easiest way to explain that. You'll see a video on there, a breadboard job done up like this for a speed trap. Now, I can't take credit. I refuse to take sole credit for that speed trap because I'm not the one that came up with that concept. A man by the name of Tony Ryan came up with the concept for that and did the initial coding for that. I merely beefed it up, added an LCD screen, and a couple other little tweaks so it can read if a train, whichever direction the train's going in, it'll read it, what its speed is, and display it on the LCD screen. I was going to mock that up on the breadboard to share today, but however, I discovered I didn't have all the parts I needed to put it back together. So that kind of shot my fire, which is how I ended up doing this welder effect and this blinker.
Stealing from Peter to pay Paul.
Pretty much. And it's funny that you mentioned that on air light.
Yeah.
Because I was actually trying to build one of them earlier this week and was not having very good time with my soldering iron. I kept barbecuing parts and we weren't getting along this week. But I am indeed actually trying to build one, and when I do, I'll share it. I'll show it to you.
Well, actually, I'd never be able to accomplish this. I'm not a programmer in any way. I know a lot of this geeky stuff, so I can hack code. I can understand what somebody's written. I know where the numbers are to change the digits or and stuff like that. But I'm not a coder in any way. But my dream maker project would be a Arduino or Raspberry Pi enabled antique radio that's in a wood case, and have that able to hook up to my Wi-Fi and scroll through model railroad podcasts like a radio station.
Oh wow! What a concept!
It would be hooked up to the internet.
Concept.
Yeah. So.
Raspberry Pi. Yeah, one of those. Raspberry Pi. Oh, but boy, do I got something neat to show you. I shared this on my website last night. How about this?
Oh, that's the new one.
That's the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi 2B. 1 gigabyte of RAM, quad core.
Whoa!
I'll pull it out so you can see it.
This is the one that Windows 10 is going to run on, right?
This is the one they say that Windows 10 will be able to run on. Now, I haven't seen any confirmation on that. I don't know if that's just speculation or not, but the heat sinks have been added by me. That's a separate kit. I put on this because it's actually got a little processor fan goes on it too.
So the differences between these products are the power that they can, or the amount of tasks and the size of the tasks that they can do. And I bet you the Launchpad would be at the lower range, the Arduino would be in the middle, the Raspberry 1 would be the next one, and this Raspberry 2 is getting to be a Internet of Things computer.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the Raspberry Pi, on the box, it actually says that the new one, this is 6 times faster than that one.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really interested into playing with this one, and I mean this is relevant to the model railroading simply because this is going to be the brains of my railroad. I'm going to be having my original railroad. I had a desktop computer actually set up that ran JMRI. I know several people here are familiar with JMRI, and that's what I had controlling some of my stuff, my ambient audio, lighting, the whole thing I had going on. But I'm trying to cut back on the big computers and taking up space and drawing a lot of electricity. So this is going to be the new computer to drive my railroad.
So is it possible to use that as like a babysitter for all your other microcontroller boards? Like if you had like a launch pad here, or maybe a Arduino somewhere, or a Raspberry Pi, like the lower value ones?
It's possible. I mean, you could. There's several different protocols where that could link them together. Where I guess you could have the inputs and outputs of the Pi sending cues to like the Texas Instruments or the Arduino to trigger them to do their specific tasks.
To start, yeah. Like,
yeah, for example, if you set up the MSP 430 to maybe, I'm just ballparking here, maybe do effects for a specific building, maybe the welder effect, maybe lights turning on and off in different rooms, TV flicker, whatever the case may be, I don't see why you couldn't have, let's say, JMRI tell the input and outputs on the Pi to trigger a specific output to tell the MSP 430 to start doing its effect routine for that building.
Yeah, like I see a day where IR sensors, like the infrared sensors, would be able to trigger events, and maybe if we had an actual control board that was able to handle the event triggers to trigger these other boards to do their thing, which like the other boards would only have one task, and the main Raspberry 2 would have, the controller's task, like the dispatcher.
Right, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
let's geek out on this thing.
We could talk about this all day. This could be a show of its own, talking about this, and we may have to do that. I have to see if I can't get these other brainiacs that I know out there doing this stuff, and it could be a really interesting topic.
The great thing about this is that, like I just said, I'm not a programmer by any means. I still go to Google to ask about HTML code, like just to remind me what it is, and so I'm basically a hacker. And everybody who would watch this stuff would be able to hack this stuff together, because it's basically inputting a pre-made code into the device, and we're people like Hafi and me are in an open source society, and open source means that I could be smart enough to code an entire program, but I'm not going to keep it for monetary gain. I'm going to contribute it in full, in source, not compiled, not hex coded together, not compiled into some secret sauce. You leave it right open, you provide it to the community gets in, hacks it themselves, makes it better, and this is open to people who don't even know how to solder. All you need is a flathead screwdriver, some telephone cable, and you wire this stuff together, and you're good. You're golden. So
right.
This isn't above. This isn't so far above the layman's head that it's impossible. This is totally possible for people, and it's cost effective, guys.
It's scary. It's scary to the layman, as it were, because it's something different. It's something new. It's not you flick the switch, it trips the relay. That it's not the old school mousetrap way of electric and electronics. I've had talks with gentlemen that are back from way back in building model railroads, and it just puzzles them. Like, well, how does that work? What's making that? You have a difficult time sometimes getting them to grasp the concepts. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a different way of doing something that's always been done before, with the ability to do new things on top of it.
Yeah,
is how I look at it.
Like an IC circuit, like you see that thing in the middle of Hoffy's board there. It's this, like, that's basically a little computer, and you input the code into that thing, and it'll do a number of things.
Let me do it this way. Let me switch over to my other camera here. It's just easier to explain things that way. And that would be that one. Something to point with here. Yeah, what Ron's talking about is the brains of this outfit is this chip. Get this. There we go. This chip right here. That's what's behind this whole thing. You could actually use this breadboard to program this chip. Take this chip out of the board and plug it into a board of your own that matches the specifications, and have it do its thing and not even have to hook up this board. That can do it. Everything that's done is done with that. All this board does is allow the computer to connect to that chip, and that chip tells these different inputs and outputs that you see here on these headers what to do. And these headers on this board match up with the pins on this chip.
So basically, the board makes it so you don't have to touch a soldering iron.
Right, exactly. You can plug it right into the computer, upload the code to it, use it right off the board. I have this specific board modified. This board I keep on hand specifically for programming chips and tinkering with stuff on the breadboard. I actually have replaced these. These are usually pins, like you see over here on my breadboard. These are usually pins. I took the pins off and replaced them with the female headers, just because it's easier to use on my breadboard. I also put these guys right here. And that's 5-volt power that comes off the USB from the computer, or a wall charger outlet, or whatever it is you may be using to power. All you need is a USB charger for, say, like a phone. You could plug in and power this board. Doesn't have to be connected to a computer to run its program.
So I just want to be devil's advocate here too. In the past 10 years, the maker movement has grown from non-existent proprietary software to open source. And that means that, whereas in 2008, we were unable to discuss this stuff on this level, it would only be available to a subset of electronics engineers, people talking in coded language and all kinds of stuff. But now with these boards, I'm teaching my daughter how to make a LED-controlled umbrella that matches her clothing colors. Like if she's wearing pink, the umbrella's going to be pink. And
oh, wow. That's cool.
So, and my daughter's just turned 8, so this is our daddy-daughter project. She's done with the trains. Like, I can get her in every so often. She wants her privacy. She doesn't want to be on the show. Fine. We'll go play with other projects, that's between me and her, and that's what we're working on.
Right.
So if you're a retired individual and you think that this stuff is unavailable to you, please don't think that way, because there's so much information that you could go step by step through this, not only in model railroading, but especially outside of model railroading in the maker movement.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, it's just it's not as intimidating as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And electronics and microcontrollers and everything used to, as you said, used to be a very intimidating thing, and the maker movement has changed all that. And to expand upon what Ron was saying about open source, everything that I do, all the code that I generate myself, I specifically license to be open source. As long as it's credited, the original code is credited back to me that I came up with it, you can change it, you can modify it. It doesn't matter. I have it set where you can't be used for commercial purposes without my consent, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
it's open to anyone. I encourage someone to take anything that I've ever put together, and I don't claim to be a programmer. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. Once again, if you see my video blog from yesterday on my website, I explain that a little more intently. I would consider myself more of a hacker as well as Ron does. I bash my way through everything that I do, including my railroad project and everything else. So I'm no one special. I'm not some type of electronics genius with an MIT degree or anything like that. I'm just playing around with this stuff on the fly as well. I have a lot of time on my hands, and this is what I do to keep my sanity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And this, your license is the GNU?
No, actually, it is the Creative Commons.
Oh, CC. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it lacks the monetary gain. It gives you the power to control and change it. However, it includes the respect of not taking credit for somebody else's work. That's it. That's the only thing. Respect. Is that so hard?
Yeah, I mean that's all I want is credit for what I came up with. If you add to it, you make it better. Excellent. Show it to me. Send me a copy. You know, I'd love to see it. Send me video of it at work. I know there's a gentleman in Australia. Let me think of his name.
Now, while you're thinking, okay, go ahead. You just remembered it.
Yeah, I just remembered Jim Gifford, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you knew Jim Gifford. The LED code and whatnot that he was using on his Helix, if you saw him working on that, he has LED or infrared LED sensors throughout his Helix that tells him where his train is within the Helix. He actually put that together based on code that I had released through the Launchpad for Model Railroading project.
Cool.
Is what inspired him to put that together, and he expanded that beyond what I envisioned as well. So, I mean, that's a perfect example right there.
So with this Creative Commons license, if somebody added to your code in a substantial way, would they be able to put themselves under your credit?
They could actually at that point they could credit it to themselves as long as somewhere there's attribution that I came up with the base for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you know, they could put something within their code or whatnot that says based on the work of Steve Hoffmeister, you know.
Do you have a way of? Do you have a notepad file of code somewhere that you could show this?
I'll show you the code for the that welder.
Or anything. It all looks the same.
Yeah,
just to show,
pretty much. Yeah.
Just to show what attribution
for the welder.
is.
Let me get the.
Because I think that's important. You know, sometimes
I
people
agree.
Sometimes people are driven just to have their name on something, and if that's the apple on the end of the stick for you, it's helping the community as long as it stays CC. And you can't. That's the thing. You can't take your additional code on Steve's code and then make it a proprietary software because this is originally the CC code, right?
Right, this is right. I license all my stuff. As a matter of fact, anything I post on my website, if you look at my website, it's automatically under a CC license. That could be video, that could be an article I wrote, that could be program I shared. Everything falls under that license.
Yeah, like, and there's in the model railroading specifically, there is history of this issue going to the courts, and it has been squashed, like through hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees through JMRI. And thank you to Bob. What's his last name?
Jacobson?
The JMRI guy, Bob.
Yeah, I think it's Bob Jacobson. Don't quote me on that, but that's the name that rings true. And yeah, I know he went through a heck of a battle with that.
Hell, by somebody who just wanted to steal his code and put it in a proprietary software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, steal was thunder.
Yeah, totally ignorant.
Alright, let's see what we got going on here.
Yeah,
this is the first time I'm using the screen share, so see what we got going on here. I don't have the licensing information in this code at the moment, as I would attribute it in the code. Normally I would do that up here, top, where it would say just licensed under Creative Commons license, is where I would have that in my code. But this is the code for the welder effect.
And that's the only change that would make that changing this code illegal would be to remove the attribution in the code.
Yeah, exactly. To not give me the credit due by that license. Yes, exactly. Otherwise, you could go, I could have that up here at the top. I could have, you know what, let me go see if I can actually find that wording that goes on there real quick. Alright, let's go here. That's creative. Yeah, you can get that license information and whatnot from creativecommons.org. And you can actually generate your license information right there on their website. It'll give you HTML code. It gives you graphics that you could put on your different works, so forth. Well, let's do this. We'll just make up a quick one, welder code. Bear with me here.
It's all good.
Fingers flying 1,000 miles an hour. Amazing how fast you can type and fail typing class in high school. Let's see. That is a multiple format work. We'll make it offline, which gives me...
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm going to go back over to Ed and see if he got his camera fixed.
Actually, I got it right here.
Okay, here you go.
Got it right here. I just got to get it spaced out as I would put it in here. That is the part of... That is the... license information. I assume that's showing up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's showing.
Okay. That is what all you have to do is put that in there, but I would normally add what the title of the program is, you know, by
a place for them to find where a little bit more information on the code is, probably your specific
my website address, and
yeah, that, you know, just so that if they came out, they found this file in the wild, they'd be able to edit it with information. Yeah, those slashes make it so it's not readable by the...
Yeah, it makes it so the microprocessor will not read that as code. It just makes it a text inside the program, like my title line or section lines here.
And that's also, if you see those 2 slashes at the beginning, that's usually instructional material that's documenting the code. Yeah.
Right.
That's
like
where
as you see down here, that's where the pin assignment is for the welder LED. Then you know that's where you would change the pin assignment for that.
Cool.
And then down here, the random number generators, the numbers you can fiddle with to get it to do what you want it to do.
Cool. Well, thanks,
Like
Steve.
this one.
This is a good start for people. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
We got people who probably be glazed over at this stuff, so we should probably start off slow.
Right.
You know. Well, and the truth is I've never used this Texas Instruments whiz-bang device, as Ed would call it. So, it's a first time for me, and it doesn't scare me in any way, and it shouldn't scare anybody else, but we should go slow, so that people can, week by week maybe wrap their head around it.
Right. I'm going to try to reach out to Terry Terrence and Tony Ryan and another gentleman by the name of David Lohman, who have done a lot of things with these through that Launchpad for model railroading project, which I believe is Launchpad, the number 4, MRR.blogspot.com, I believe, is the blog for that project, if anyone's interested in checking that out. But I'm going to try to reach out to those gentlemen and see if we can't get them on too and let them share their portion, because I don't want to overshadow anything that they've done, because Terry has really taken this a long way, and I'm not about stealing anybody's thunder or anybody's effort. That's totally against everything I believe in, so
Definitely.
all credit to those who deserve it.
And pass the word on to them that we can do it privately if they're camera shy. We're totally open to even doing it audio only, or presentation only, where you're not looking at your face, you're just looking at the board the whole time.
Right.
I'm open to everything, boys. Okay?
All right.
I don't have an Apple device. That's the only thing I can't be open to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not big on the Apple myself, so I'm more of a Linux man myself, so
let's leave that one there, because that's a can of worms.
Exactly.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem. I'll be hiding here in the background.
Take care of that chat.
I'll keep an eye on it. Yep.
Ed, did you get it fixed? Ed's gone.
No, I was muted, damn it.
Yeah. The programmers at Hangouts, they knew that, because they go, a little blue thing comes on your screen, go, bink, you're muted.
I was trying to ask was that C that's written in?
Yes.
Okay, I've done a little bit of C programming. No, I don't, because I don't understand. I was talking to.
Bring your mic back up, Steve.
All right, I'm here. What's up?
Go ahead, Ed.
No, I just said it looked like C. That's why I was doing something else. I glanced over and looked at the remarks. I said, it's either C or. I said, no, it's not. I know it's not PHP, but it's got the same remarks, the little 2 forward slashes and stuff.
Right. Yeah, it has some similarities with the comment marks and whatnot to PHP. Yes, I can agree with you on that.
Was if I remember right, they stole from BASIC and they stole from C, and they kind of mixed together and tossed it in a bucket, which is.
Sounds about right to me.
I like PHP simply because it does more than BASIC does. It's got it's got your decision stuff, but it doesn't drive me screaming and running in circles like C does.
Right. Yeah, I've done some work in PHP in the past. I liked programming in that too, and I wished it would have gone a lot further. Python. I don't know if you've played with Python, which is what a lot of the JMRI stuff's done in. That's a pretty interesting language itself.
Well, see, now I've got a gripe with that. I bought I've got the Prodigy Advanced 2, and they came out with, oh, now it's JMRI supports. And I went and bought the little cable, and I can't get the damn thing to work.
That's not JMRI's fault.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Well, I don't know. If I was smart enough, the cable in one end is the Cat5 connector hooks to the console. The other end is a USB connector. It hooks to the computer. It seems I even wrote MRC and said, don't you guys have like a little piece of software that would let it, do a self-test? They can talk to the console and go, are you working? Of course, I got no response.
MRC, how do I say this in a nice way? They have a proprietary view of their software. So instead of being open in any way, they're compiled to the max, so that you have to really reverse engineer the code to put it into JMRI.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying I can't get it to talk, or it doesn't seem to talk to the decoder on the engine I was using. MRC they make the damn cable. So why can't they still have a little bit of code on their website that the computer can talk to the console through the damn cable and go, yes, you're working, or yes, you're broken? I mean, what is so damn hard about that? I know damn well if I had the damn code, I could write it, and I could write it with a my coding consists of any languages. Open a book up and say, oh, that's how they do arrays or whatever. It's I've had guys, I was griping about some Army software, and they said, well, do you know the system? I go, it don't matter. Give me a book. I'll open the book, look at the screen, I'll figure it out. It's not, I can't write this stuff from scratch, but I can look at, oh, this is how you do a loop in this language. This is how you do an array in this language. It's all. Ed,
how much coffee did you have this morning?
Well, look. I don't like people that don't produce a product that is good. I've run this crap in the Army where they outsource them for code to India, and then I got a piece of crap software that I can't even go back and get fixes done, because they go, well, that was outsourced 3 years ago to
I started this hobby in 2006. The first thing I wanted to do was to get a train on the layout and start playing with it with my computer. Now, only a few companies provided JMRI permission to do this. Some companies felt that they were having their code stolen, or their thunder stolen, or they were providing some lower kind of company or something to. I'm gonna mute you, Judy, for a second, okay? Or you mute yourself, please. It's in the top middle.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Awesome. I'm on my mom's computer here, so I thought I was going to have an issue.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So, where was I, Ed? Oh, yeah. MRC. So, MRC totally restricted they didn't trust the community to be able to be a part of this, and that's basically what it came down to.
I understand that, but I'm just toss JMRI out the wall. I got a computer, I got an MRC table, I got an MRC control box. I want the computer to use a piece of MRC software to go to the MRC cable to the MRC control box and go, "Are you working?"
No, they want. I bet you they had an idea that they were going to sell you an MRC computer.
If there ought to be a way. Look, since the through JRM. You have a panel and it does all this weird stuff. It should be able to do that. It just irritates me because I don't know if it's the output off the control box. I don't know if it's a bad cable or what, and I don't know how to check it.
Yeah, that's an issue that's going to be fixed over time because I think they're beginning to realize through customer feedback that this is a necessary item on their list.
Well, if you go to their Facebook page, people are not happy with their customer service.
Yeah.
Seriously, people are like, "Your customer service sucks," stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna cut that out, or not cut it out. I'm gonna stop that and start talking to our new guest here because I'm actually pretty keen on talking to Judy here, and we muted you, Judy. So you're gonna have to find in the top middle. There's a little microphone. If you press that, there you go. Now you're live.
Yeah.
So everyone, this is Judy Hernandez, and Judy is a diorama builder.
Yay.
Good morning, guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Morning, Judy.
Good morning.
So
Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I saw. Usually when somebody comments on my videos, I go back to see what they do, and on YouTube, I YouTube them. and this time I went over and I saw some movie set dioramas and non-train stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
just for house cleaning here, we've got a problem with your audio.
You can't hear me at all?
No, we can hear you, but I think that there's speakers.
Oh, buddy.
You've got headphones on. If you can just turn the volume on your speakers down and just use your headphones, that'll fix everything.
How's that?
That sounds maybe there's a TV on in the background maybe that's kind of creating a little bit of feedback.
That's okay. That's not bothering anything. Now that you got the speakers off, we're good. Leave your mom's good. Mom's good.
I'm gonna tell her to mute it out. Bájalo.
It's all
I'm
good.
gonna speak a little Spanish here.
So you're
I think we're good now, right?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, good.
So you're a diorama build. What's your interest in diorama hobby? In the diorama hobby?
I just recently had quite a few people ask me how I got into it, and I honestly don't know how it came about. It's just something that piqued my interest. I've always been a lifelong drawer. I've drawn since I was, 7 or 8 years old. So art is pretty much a very intense hobby of mine. I just started looking up, I remember cardboard structures on YouTube for whatever reason, and I have a fascination with streamlined modern structures, which is basically kind of like Art Deco, but to me has a lot more flow. And so I was watching The Shadow, and I know it's a cheesy movie, but I was watching The Shadow, and I just love the architecture in the movie. So I thought I would love to have a piece of that building in my home. So my very first piece of structure was a 1930s jazz club, and it just went from there. And I got into the community of the diorama people where they do dioramas for their action figures, for toy photography. but I kind of go away from replicas from movies and video games and stuff like that. It's just something different. I don't want to stick to just action figures because it's just too basic for me. I like to go off, think out of the box, if you want to say that. So.
Wonderful. Do you have some photos put together to share with us? No?
You know, I was going to do that. And
it's all good. It's all good. We could do that in post.
I have a little something I have here on the side. It's not necessarily a diorama. It's just I wanted to challenge myself and see if I can do it. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the movie Up.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do the house, and it's not done. It's almost there. I got lots to do still, and you know, I'm working right now on the balloons, and I got to do the windows and all sorts of different things. It's just a challenge for myself to see, because usually I don't have the patience to do something like this. And that's why I was hoping you would do that Boston bookstore, because I think that would be so damn cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shorpy is great for inspiration. Yeah. So the diorama community is so interesting. Like, you know, being a model railroader, I don't look for those kinds of things, but is it a big community?
It depends. I don't think it's as big as I would like it to be. There are some artists out there who are kind of known to make dioramas just solely for photography purposes. But it's a small niche, I think, and those people are just accomplished and they're known, and they've been in galleries and whatnot. There's an ACBA group, which is basically people who do dioramas for their action figures, and they do photography for that, and that's basically where you're going to see a lot of that. I think it's slowly growing, but you see that a lot in the railroad community as well. You see people making their own sceneries. That's basically a diorama. And by watching a lot of railroad videos, that's where I was getting a lot of my ideas with the flocking and everything. You get ideas from everywhere.
Yeah. So ACBA stands for Articulated Comic Book Art?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I am not necessarily a member of that community because, just like you were talking about earlier, there's too much drama. It's very competitive. It's very male-oriented. And I think when I was on Dial Structure in Facebook, only myself and another female from England would post up there. You know, she does a lot of those comic book dioramas as well. And too much ego, too much crap going on. So I got myself out of it. I don't, you know, we don't need that. But I'm just trying to do my own thing. I'm trying to do my own thing. I try to sell my stuff on Etsy. I have my YouTube channel. I try to do my own thing.
Wonderful.
And see what happens.
Wonderful. And we'll share photos on the produced video over top of this. Well, not over top. We're not going to hide you behind your photos. Because actually, I think that you know, women in the hobby. I interviewed Ulrike from Germany.
Yes, I saw her.
Yeah, and she does great work, and I think that we should actually promote women in the hobby a lot more than what is, because there's not many who are really pushing pushing hobby so other people join, and I think that a lot of women are really interested in scenery and trees and you know, making small dioramas. I know a lot of gentlemen who their wives build all their kits. You know.
Awesome.
You know, I imagine if it wasn't for the women, some of these railroads would simply be plywood. You know, so I think as much as we can shed a spotlight on the girl power, Let's get it on.
Rock on. Yeah.
Yes.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It's just okay.
That's all good. It's all good. That's a photo moment.
It's I lost my train of thought.
Women, girl power.
Yeah, I don't see too many out there for some reason. Either they're not exposing themselves as much as they should, or they're just not a lot of interest. I don't really know. But
It could be the behavior of men.
well, like I kind of get that. That's why I kind of just do my own thing, and I keep doing what I do. I watch videos. I found you. I started doing this about a year and a half ago. I have not seen your channel. It's just random pop-ups. You type in on Google or excuse me on YouTube stuff, and your video popped up, and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. And you just did you were making a building, and you were putting strips of wood on there in a way where you're just like sticking in the wood and cracking it, sticking it, breaking it, sticking it, breaking it. And I was like, why can't I do that? Why do I have to cut and measure? And measure.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very interesting, and that's why I commented on your video. So.
Yeah. No, thank you for commenting, because that's how I got a hold of you. I can't, if you make like 2 or 3 videos per week for YouTube, how are you going to be able to find time to watch other people's videos? It's not an arrogant thing. It's just that I've got a family here. I'm sure you've got your family and friends that you want to hang out with too. So.
Well, I not to get too personal, but I moved back to Florida from Michigan because I'm actually going through a separation. So,
goodness.
Yeah, it's been 6 months now, so so I don't really do anything. So it gives me a chance to focus on my art a lot more. But it's kind of depressing at the same time.
Hey,
I don't really want to do much. I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that crap.
It's the personal stuff that really drives you into your art.
Yeah.
I had a little breakup myself in 2010, and some of my best work came within the 6 months that followed. So I wouldn't want to do it again, but it was, the side effect was fairly nice.
Well, for some people it's an inspiration, but for some people you just want to wallow and not do anything, and that was pretty much what happened to me. I was kind of like out of the loop for a few months, and then I just...
Did it darken your work?
It's been dark. Have you not noticed that?
Yeah. Well,
it's always been dark. I love the horror genre, and I focus on that a lot. But obviously this Up House is not anywhere near horror.
Yeah.
I wanted to give it a little bright up, but I've always been interested in that.
You could do it. Rosy disposition every once in a while.
Exactly. You got to put rainbows and giraffes every once in a while.
Unicorns.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. My wife would actually totally be interested in seeing your work, because she's a horror. I say freak, because I can't watch horror movies. Like, I start pacing. I move to yelling at the TV, and then I'm gone. I'm out of here. Why do you do that to yourself? Then I'll come back 5 minutes later and I'll say, why do you do that to yourself? Why?
I love it. I've been watching horror movies since I was 7 years old. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's I don't know. I'm surprised I was never goth growing up.
Oh.
No, I wasn't. Neither emo either. So it's just something that really interests me, and kind of like I've always had like I don't know, I wanted to work in that kind of field, like set design for horror movies or whatever, but I just never did it. I don't know. I visited California. I don't care for it much. So.
There's always the chance. And I've got quite the collection. Well, I used to have quite the collection of Doc Martens. So I wasn't really goth, but I was a punk rocker. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I haven't heard that name in a while.
actually, my daughter, I keep on telling her we're gonna go out and get you a pair of docs one day to mold your future life. These
Oh my God.
fashion
Mold?
decisions.
You better
Yeah.
scar her.
No.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Scarring her was sending her to the Catholic school.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It was the best decision I ever made, but yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm a real big fan of your work, and you're welcome to come back and bring this horror subject matter to the show if you want, if you're comfortable with it. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything, and I think that a lot of people would be really interested in expanding their hobbies view, because I've learned so much from military modelers.
Yeah.
And I imagine that the weathering and gore involved with these scenes that you do would really translate very interestingly in some model railroad scenes. So
Absolutely. Weathering, definitely. I learned a lot from all sorts of different modelers. The only difference is that I don't go out and buy those expensive products, like the Meg Jimenez or what's that other one? The AK Interactive. They have weathering colors. I just make my own.
Mm-hmm.
I use cheap acrylics, and I mess around with colors all the time.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're using cheap acrylics, and what are you mixing them with? Just plain water?
Water. I layer on multiple colors until I get the desired effect that I want. And I know that some of these colors, I'm not bringing those colors down by any means. It's just I like to take the more difficult road and make my own colors, and I try to scratch build as much as I can and make everything for myself as much as I can, instead of putting pieces together or buying colors like a rust color that's already made. I like to do it myself because it just kind of it gives me a sense of achievement that I made this color look absolutely realistic.
And I find thinking that way also, a lot of modelers will have a barrier because they're waiting to be able to afford a product or find a product. By scratch building in the way that you're talking about, there's no fear and nothing stopping you from just trudging on.
Right. Absolutely.
Where can we find your work? Is it do you have a website?
I have a website, but it's not really up. It'll just connect you to
YouTube.
I don't know. My brother set it up for me. It's just we just haven't had the time. He's the IT guy, and he's the one that helped me out. But I do have a YouTube channel, and I have a Facebook.
What is your
studio or?
What is your YouTube channel name?
Explain the little window where she can type in the address.
I think it's Dark Dio on YouTube.
Yeah, just Dark Dio Studio, and you should be able to find it. Okay. I have, like I said, I had Etsy, Flickr, Instagram. I try to get myself out there as much as I can. Yeah. And I totally forgot the question. You made a statement or a comment, and I was going to answer it, and I totally forgot what it was. I'm sorry.
About trudging through and scratch building and making your own products instead of waiting to buy something. Is that it?
Oh, no, I do it totally from scratch. I normally work with insulation foam, and sometimes I get the itch to work with cardboard or balsa wood or whatever, depending on what I'm making, but primarily I use insulation foam, and because it helps me carve in what I need to carve in, and I try to make my own props as much as I can. I work with clay and or found objects, things that I see something and I pick it up and I can make it look like something.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
So I try to do it as much as I can for myself without actually having to buy something that looks like a mini microwave or something like that. I try to make it myself. So.
There's a modeler from Sweden, and his name is Trolls Kirk. And an interesting thing he does everything from scratch too. He likes to use foam and paper and cereal box and card and all that stuff. But an interesting thing that I learned from him on his foam, he makes his drywall, like his stone wall, retaining wall things, and then he uses crazy glue in the cracks, and it'll kind of open it up. So that might be an interesting thing for you to experiment with, maybe.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. It
sounds interesting.
It is.
I would. Okay.
Which foam?
So it makes it look more like more exposed bricks. Is that what you're talking about?
You know how you run your razor blade on foam and it'll close right back up. Well,
right.
If you put your CA on it, it'll open up.
It melts it.
Oh yeah. Okay. I get you. That sounds pretty cool idea.
Question on the foam: which type do you prefer? Because now they got the blue foam, the green foam, the pink foam, and they all carve different.
Absolutely. I think it's also where you live at.
Mm-hmm.
I did notice that like Home Depot, they have the pink foam. I've been to Lowe's, they have the blue foam.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in some countries it depends where you can get it, if you can get it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I primarily use the pink foam. I haven't used the blue one. I assume it's more or less the same thing. I don't know. But I thought about giving it a try at some point, buying some, but I gotta wait to use up what I have before I go out and buy some more. So.
The reason
it's interesting you say. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
The reason I'm asking is if I prefer the blue. I've never used the pink stuff. I hate the green foam, but I just posted a picture. This is a half-inch scale model I did in the blue foam, where I carved the bricks.
Wow. I thought that was a real building.
About using the foam, I was like, yeah, because that's some good stuff. And I also I got some of the AK Interactive stuff, but I hardly ever use it. I use the cheap Walmart acrylics.
Yeah.
I scratch build everything too because people's like, oh, that looks really nice. Okay, well, that's just some blue foam I carved up. It's like
exactly. It's all in the painting. It's all in the painting, and I thought that was a real building.
Thank you.
That looks amazing.
Well, that was my like this door here is all I did was cut the foam out and then flipped it 180 degrees and glued it back in so the bricks didn't line up and just used different colors. But that's just this is cake pan right here that aluminum. That's the little
awesome.
What is it? The Fiskars corrugated little twisty thing. You make corrugated paper. That's what that is.
Yes.
Yes.
But
yeah, when you were talking about that, I was like, I know that because trying to you were talking about the paint, and people say on the model railroaders, there's always some young guy, usually some newbie, going, how do you do concrete? What paint I use for concrete? I'm like, use whatever you got. I never use the same thing twice. I'll look around and whatever gray or kind of a tannish grayish paint I have, and I'll grab that and I'll mix it with something else. I go, well, it looks kind of right, and I'll stain it or dry brush it. We'll get a highlights, and it's not there's not a way to do it. It's just like my brick was carved like that. It was just I print it off a brick shape and I carve it onto the blue foam. You know,
No, absolutely.
there's no way to do it. Uh, the
Yeah, a lot of people do ask questions, and you would think, oh, this is so basic. Why would you not know how to do this? But a lot of people just really don't have an idea. They just want to get started. They just need some sort of idea how to get started, and they ask questions that some people are like, "Are you serious? Are you seriously asking this silly question?" But no, I do understand.
No question is ever too silly.
No,
Now here's
absolutely.
an
That's the problem with a lot of people, and they make you feel like you're so small because you're asking a very important question. It may seem stupid to you, but to some people, it's like the light bulb just went on.
Yeah, you open the door for
You have to be encouraging, and you have to be, supportive, because not everyone is on the same wavelength as you are.
Well,
So,
and it's also the fact that sometimes there's something so obvious after the fact, and you be sitting looking at something, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, and you go, "Oh!"
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, I sure was dumb. It was obvious. It was in my face, and it was like the light bulb. Oh, okay, yeah, that's nice stuff.
What's that, Steve?
Well, this was an example I was going to share. You guys were talking about the regular acrylic paints. This is a, I believe it's Central Valley.
Truss bridge?
Yeah, truss bridge kit that I put together a couple years ago. It's painted entirely with off-the-shelf craft store acrylic paints.
that looks awesome.
Yeah, it
You
looks
see
great.
the rivets
Variation.
rusting, and yeah, it's I sprayed it with household primer, and then I used my cheapy airbrush I had at the time and sprayed it with like a silver acrylic, and then just wetted down a brush and dipped it in the different colors, the rust-like color I mixed up, and just kind of went to town on it.
Actually,
Go ahead. I've got a bigger bridge. It's on one of my modules I have. I can't get a camera to at the moment, but I'll bring that down and share it next time. That looks fairly similar to this. I actually think it looks a lot better than this one, but I'll share that one next time.
Trolls actually gave me permission to do a little bit of a show and tell about parts of his DVD that he had released a couple of years ago. It's out of print now, and he said it would be okay for me to show a small portion of certain parts of it.
Cool.
Ed almost famously described Trolls as using a brush the size of St. Louis to paint his stuff, and it's the most realistic stuff you ever seen.
Well,
Yeah, Trolls does some neat stuff.
that we sit there as modelers and we'll get little brushes and try to detail, and he's sitting there, he's like a 6'4" Swede with
Beard like this.
yeah, he looks like he should be carrying a battle axe, right? And he's a landscape artist as a profession, and he has his artist brushes, and he's not using his little brushes. He's using a brush like you paint a painting with, because he's artistically used. He knows what he's doing. He knows use the side, the tip, and it's just pretty neat. Pretty neat video.
Here, I'm gonna share Trolls for a second here, just so that you can see.
I'm trying to save up some pictures on a folder, Ron, to see if I can. You gotta let me know how to share it with you, because I'm totally stupid when it comes to this stuff. So.
I'll share that stuff through the video. You can email it to me.
Okay, sounds great.
And then for next time, we'll teach you how to do it. But this is Trolls sitting down in front of one of his paintings.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. That man's a genius. I'm sorry. There's no other word to describe him with that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Like this is the paint. This is a painting.
Wow.
Yeah, and Trolls, his palette is a Tupperware bowl, whereas one corner is the reddish color, one corner is the Paris beige. He'll have another corner where it's the burnt umber, and he'll have the white and the cerulean blue, all in the same palette in this Tupperware dish, and it's like every color is mixed, like on the fly.
Share some of his modeling, which he scratch builds everything.
I have to find it.
Well, you had pictures of his lighthouse.
Yeah.
I saw it flash by just a second ago.
This is the lighthouse. Right there. And this is made out of paper, card, and the base is made out of foam. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, so that's a model, just to clarify, that's a model, not a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
yeah, and the lighthouse itself is formed card, and then on the outside he used putty and carved in bricks and stuff like that, and it's full scratch build. It is a full scratch build. And here's a picture of Trolls himself, like the Viking. So
That's amazing work.
yeah. It's unbelievable. And to hear Trolls talk about model railroading, it would disappoint every single person in the hobby because he's not interested in it. He's not interested in trains. He's just interested in the scenery and art and recreating this 3D representation.
It's a 3D painting is what it is.
Look at those waves.
That's all done with acrylics. He paints all that's done with acrylic gels and just acrylics to do the white caps and all that.
Yeah, simply amazing.
Yeah, we're proud of Trolls. There's his Shire horses. He just did that recently.
Yeah, and that's not even the whole painting. That's cropped.
The painting's like damn 10 foot wide.
There it is right there. If Trolls was standing on the ground, he would go to the knee of the first draft horse.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got a ladder in front of the thing in some photos. So it's just you don't need to buy the products, as Judy has said. You just trudge through with what you got and what you're interested in, and go for it. Don't let some expert modeler try to sell you on a product that he's affiliated with. Just go for it.
Absolutely.
There he was painting, and then when you just went by it.
What?
When you were scrolling, it was a picture of him painting the something. I couldn't.
Yeah, I got it. In 1 second here. It seems that every time I shut it off, you see something.
You're too flatty.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
But the thing about this was the point is that, like you were saying about found objects and stuff like that, almost everything he does is what we were talking about. It's foam, it's cardboard, it's plastic, it's strip wood. He makes his buildings. He puts a piece of and he uses a nice paper like a Carson something, whatever.
Carson's. Yep. Carsten.
Yeah. He uses a fancy artist, paper, but he like splotches stuff on it and slices it up and makes his boards for his buildings. It's like he's like, look at you like, what? What? Don't everybody do that?
Actually, as part of this produced video, I'm gonna put in the parts of the Trolls Kirk video that I've got, And just so everybody knows, I asked Trolls. He said that the video was out of production and sold out, and that he would be happy for me to promote the video. And hopefully, after the show comes out, we can encourage people to ask him to reproduce the videos, because I imagine it would sell out again.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube video. Remember, he did a promo for it.
Yes.
If I look around a bit, I can probably find it on YouTube, because he did some videos, right?
Yeah.
And so if you type in Trolls,
ELS.
Kirk, damn it. Yeah, here we go. Here's,
Let's find out how good your net connection is.
okay. This is 1/48 scale, by the way.
O scale.
His rocks are all made from aluminum foil and plaster and aluminum foil, that old trick.
The video's muted.
Is it? Well, you... Okay, now it's not, I don't think.
You mean it's not popping up on the screen, like bigger? Because it's still pretty small.
Click your mouse cursor on that picture. It makes it... That brings any of those little pictures...
Oh, got it. Got it. Sorry. See? That's what I'm talking about.
That's how Hangout works. We're talking, you can click on a picture and get a full screen. Now this is all, that boat there was all foam. He carved that out of foam.
That's awesome.
There was a better video that was, oh, here he is. There he is painting.
Is that his own YouTube channel? Or
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So we were talking about, you could put him in armor with a helmet with horns on it.
Riding an oxen. Yeah.
But yeah, I still haven't got the one. He did one where he's actually a promo for his video, for his
Realistic color.
Scenes from. Let's see.
It's called the.
Right here. Here it is. That's his wife playing, by the way. They're gonna say it, brush.
Yeah, that's rock and roll. Yeah, and the video goes through, you know, how he does the coastline in on his lighthouse cove there, and all that stuff. You got muted. I don't know if I did that or Ed. Anyway.
Damn it, stop it. I'm you, but there's if you go in your Hangout screen, on the top left if you move your cursor to the left, there's a series of icons, and there's a blue quote box. If you click that, you open up a group chat window, and I can post in, for example, the link to this series of YouTube videos in the screen there, and it pops up, and all you have to do is click that, and then you can just go to that.
So guys, we're at 2 hours right now. I got a lot of stuff to do today, and actually I wanted to make it a short show today because I have so much canned content for the produced videos that if I don't slow down on content, I'm going to start losing stuff. The ADD's going to kick in too much.
Your mom.
So I want to thank everybody for coming on today. Steve, Peter, Edward, and Judy. Thank you very much, and nice to meet you, Judy.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much again.
No problem. Any way I can shed a light on the hobby of horror diorama building or women in modeling, just give me the chance.
That's awesome. Will do.
Yep, come
It was
on
nice
back
to
and
meet
play. We're
everyone
not an
else.
old boys club.
Yeah.
No, it was very nice to meet all of you. So.
Likewise.
Pleasure meeting you too.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Talk to you guys later.
You have a great day.
Hey, guys.
Take care, Ron.
Bye.